Hello, my name is Camille, and today I want to talk about something I love to talk about to people that may or may not be interested wherever I am, and that is about cultivating your femininity. And I've studied this since I was probably a teenager because of this amazing book. If you get nothing from this video, go buy this book on eBay or on FascinatingWomanhood.com, I believe. Helen B. Adelin wrote it. My grandma gave me a book like this except for the vintage looking one that has fallen apart now, so I got this one as a backup replacement. She gave it to me as a teenager, and I read it and I started to understand what femininity looks like and what the results are, and the happiness that it can bring your life and the happiness it can bring your marriage, and how so many women have failing marriages because they don't know just the basic principles of how to arouse the love and the excitement of their husband and the masculinity in him. And so it's not just about marriage. This book is definitely marriage centered, but it's about basically becoming the woman that society needs you to be, because God made women very unique and different from men. Some things are similar, but many things are different. How we're wired, how we're motivated, what brings us satisfaction and joy in life. And so a lot of times in society now, society wants to make us all androgynous, as they say, or all like the same, you know? And the polarity is so fun to have between men and women. And feminism has stolen a lot of happiness from women, taken a lot of women out of the home, and given them a life that eventually, I don't know, doesn't bring them the happiness that was promised. And so before we start into this, if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, please do like this video. All the things help. Let me know in the comments below if something sticks out to you or something that you're going to take from this and change in your life to cultivate your femininity. So number one is why. Why should we up this level of our life as women? And that is because society needs the warmth and love that God made women to bring. Women are happier when they are loved rather than when they are respected. We want to be respected, but if we're loved, like respected for achievement, like if we go achieve something, that's cool. And I'm an achiever type of person somewhat. I should be more, I feel like. But really, women want the love of their spouse. Women want the love of their children. They want the love of their peers and the people around them. And that's what really livens a woman up. Sometimes they might feel they're getting that love through achieving something. And there, you know what, there's a lot of achievement to be had in femininity because I'll get into it. But basically, there's a lot of things to grow in as a woman that so many women, we kind of, we go into the work world and then we get home and we're failing in some things at home that, like if you're not a good cook, or if you don't know how to decorate or clean, or if you don't know how to kind of organize your life and holidays and things, there's going to be a sadness in your heart because you're just like, oh, I wish I could do that. But there's just only so much time in the day. And of course, I know we have to work when we're single, especially we have to work. But the whole idea is you can cultivate your femininity if you focus on it and if you think it's important, even with a full-time job. And so, but ideally, I think all women would be able to be at home when they get married and raise a family. If possible, that would be just amazing. So that's what I'm looking for. And that's something also to let know the person that you're going to date or marry, like, hey, I'm a traditional woman, if you are, which I am, and I'm looking forward to a one-income household. You know, not that women can't work and add to the income of the household, but the whole idea is that women are creators. We nurture, we beautify, we create life. You know, many women are pregnant for many years in their life if they want a family, a big family, if they even can have a family, which is such a joy, you know, for women if they can have children. And, you know, I'm not a mom yet, but I want to be. Anyhow, so definitely get this book as soon as possible. This book talks about the angelic side of a woman and the human side of a woman. And I just think it's so masterfully written. I can't even believe this book is even in existence, because it's just like, it breaks down the mind of a man and what he looks for in a woman. And here it is. So work on your angelic side, which arouses in a man a feeling of near worship and brings him peace and happiness. You'll hear men say these things like, she brings me peace, or she brings me happiness, or, it's like this, he wants his woman to be on a pedestal, or he literally thinks like she's an angel or she's amazing, or like, wow, those men that say, oh, she's my better half. And you know what I mean? Like you want him to think that about you. And so you don't want your character to drop. So to the level that he disrespects your character. And sometimes a guy will push you and try to see, if you'll fall, if you'll cuss, if you'll do this or whatever. But when you say, no, I'm not doing that, and I mean, you shouldn't, hopefully the guy you're with doesn't push your boundaries anyways, or your God-given boundaries. But they don't really want you to stoop down. They really want to say, wow, this girl is awesome. The other side is the human side, which fascinates, amuses, captivates, and enchants a man. It arouses his deepest desire to protect and shelter. And men want women who need protection and shelter. I mean, it's nice when a girl can hold her own sometimes. And you have to, even as a mom, you might have to protect your kids, or and it's jump to the situation, even protect your husband once in a while if something's happening out of his, he didn't see something coming at him, which is a blessing. And I'm not saying women can't do great things like shoot guns and things. That's, that's awesome. And even the women in the Wild West, they could do that, But the whole idea is that you don't always want to do a man's job for him. You want to leave room for him to be the man, for him to carry the heavy stuff, for him to feel chivalrous and open a door, even though you can get it yourself, and so you just got to read the book. It's so amazing. This is all like a prelude to like my 10 points. I think it's 10 for how to cultivate your femininity, but this is like the behind the scenes understanding. And so the side of the angelic is basically the title of she understands men, which is she accepts him, she admires him, she appreciates him, makes him number one, understands masculine and feminine roles, and that he's a leader, provider, and protector. It talks about family finances, masculine pride, and how you want to work with his masculine pride and not go against it. So many women go against a man's pride, like the masculine pride. It's a good thing. It can be misdirected, but if you get it working for you versus like you working against it and trying to like come head to head, that masculine pride is going to serve you if you know how to help in the area. And sympathetic understanding. And then I didn't write down all of the human side, human side. But anyways, here's the angelic qualities that understands men: inner happiness, worthy character, and domestic goddess. The other side is the human qualities, which is femininity, radiates happiness, radiant health, and childlikeness. And it's just amazing. So now that we've gotten 8 minutes into this video, the first step to cultivating your femininity as a woman, it's not the first step, it's just 10 steps. And this is the one that I started with, which is accept that God made you a woman and that men and women have different purposes, though some things overlap. So I think a lot of women just don't like how it's set up, or they think maybe like kind of like subconsciously, because of how the whole feminist movement has pushed the idea that like women are weak, or oh, you're just a housewife, or you're just a home. And I'm not saying just be a housewife, but I'm saying that because I believe that women can have side jobs and they can whatever, but I think the family should always be first. And God obviously made the woman to be able to bear children. And so that's a special privilege and a gift. And often when a mom has children, eventually she's like, I don't want to be like, away from my kids and letting someone else raise them. I really want to be able to be here with my kids while they're growing up. And so we've been taught that that's like a wrong thing, and that like you should be able to go achieve and do all these things, and not stuck at the house. It's like, well, what's more important than your kids and your family? And a woman has a free schedule. If her husband can provide for the family, she can do whatever she wants with her time if she can make her life run the right way with the proper disciplines to get things in order and make systems. And it's a lot of work to be a woman, a housewife, to be a mom. Every mom in the world will tell you, and everyone will tell you it's the hardest job in the world, but the most rewarding. So just accepting that God made us different and deciding, you know what, I'm gonna be a woman. I'm gonna step into that role instead of kind of despising my femininity or my womanhood and wanting to be more masculine. I'm gonna learn the rules of the game, and I'm gonna win. And so, the role of woman: create life, and just create, nurture, beautify, help meet. She's called to a man. The Bible said that interestingly, the Bible says that the man was not made for the woman, but the woman for the man. Very interesting. So God decided to take Adam's rib out, create a woman, and have her there to be a helpmeet to him, to bring him joy and happiness. And when we do that, it brings us so much happiness. When he loves us, that like fills us. And whenever a man makes a woman happy, that fills him. I didn't realize that till recently. Someone said like one of the greatest joys of a man is making a woman happy. And I thought, how sweet is that? Men get a bad rap. Okay, and the role of men: lead, provide, protect, head of the household, meant to set direction. And obviously both of you want to go to the Lord to get the direction. That's the goal. None of us should be like, oh, I'm going to chart this path and this is what I want to do with my life and everything. It's like, no, all of us are really bought by the Lord, and we say, Lord, how did you design me? How did you fashion me? What is the call that you have in my life? I want to do that. And if we get on his train versus trying to always like drive off to this way and that, it's like, no, like he's got a path that doesn't have so many thorns and bumpy roads and hijacks and everything on it. He's got a good path for you to go on, that you're going to be joyful if you go in that path. So that's the whole goal, is that everybody's supposed to be submitted under God. And if a husband submitted to God, it makes it a lot easier for the woman submit to the husband, and the kids will be a lot happier. And a lot of times the happiness of the children, the peace of the children come from that relationship between a husband and wife, where they are happy. So there's two sides of things. There's the femininity just as a single person, which I think the goal of a woman, part of it, if you're not called to be single, is to be preparing to be married one day, and to be prepared to take on the needs of a family. And so as a single person, it's so important to get yourself in order, so that I thought, like, why does a woman feel like a woman when she becomes a mom? And I think it's partially because she's being depended upon by a human, and she literally rises to the occasion, and she keeps that little baby alive, and she takes care of her husband, and she's taking care of her household. And whether she has time to do everything the way she wants it to or not while the kids are small, she's doing it. The kids are not dying of starvation, hunger, or cold, and that is an achievement in itself. But I don't know where I was going with that, but let's go to the next point. Number 2, become a good to great cook. And gardening can be part of that. I started this little potted garden, and I have some cilantro growing out there. I have some basil. I want to grow more herbs, but that's just kind of a fun thing as a woman, to actually know how to grow something. I've grown tomatoes, and someone gave me flowers recently. I just really loved looking at those flowers every day. It just kind of like, I don't know, cooking is not necessarily masculine or feminine in my opinion. I think it's really both. But women are often at the house more with kids, so they end up cooking more of the meals, and not all men are naturally as good at cooking as women are. I don't know, but some men are like the best ever. So I really think everybody should become a great cook if possible, and it's really fun. It really makes you feel accomplished. And when someone's like eating your food and they like love it, it's just like, it just brings you so much happiness. And then it brings you this feeling of satisfaction. And you're like, when someone says, do you know how to cook? And you, instead of saying, oh no, I don't know how to cook, I just get takeout all the time, you're like, I do know how to cook. I'm not the best cook in the world, but I do know how to cook this and that. What do you cook the best? And I'll tell them, well, I do chicken, I can do steak, I can do, whatever. I had to learn how to up my skills in cooking, and I want to go even more. I decided I wanted to do dinners, I wanted to do sauces, soups, things like that. And so I used to do a lot of desserts, but I got healthier and I don't do desserts that often. But it's still fun to be able to, perform when you need to, and it's like a daily creativity, really. And then you can take pictures of it. I actually have a little food blog on Instagram called Camille Meals. If you want to go look at that, Camille Meals, I'll put it in the thing below. So become a great cook. Number 3, keep your place clean, organized, and decorated. And when you really make your environment something that reflects you, and people come over and they like your place and they like how it smells, they like how it looks, they like the lighting, they like the decorating, they like the little cute nuances that make it you. And I don't know, I'm a little bit of a country girl type of essence that I'm kind of like, it's kind of down to earth, you know. Some people like the really posh, amazing, and that they do that amazing. I don't know, I like a little bit of like this type of stuff, little plants and little wood, and I like leather, and I don't really decorate with leather, but I'd like to get more leather in my house. And anyhow, so having your place organized, decorated, cleaned, so that, you know, put your kitchen to bed every night. I think that's a great way to do that. Make your bed in the morning, like I say, and just kind of just start. I've just taken one shelf somewhat kind of at a time, and I just like, okay, I'm gonna get to the shelf and I'm gonna start organizing, and I've gotten my room more organized over time. And now I'd like to, you know, maybe even separate my wardrobe out to like summer, winter, whatever, so I have more room in my closet, maybe store some things, you know. So it's just kind of this constant, I want to make some of the things in my kitchen make more sense. So, you know, that's my bread maker up there, by the way. I like to start making bread again. That's a fun way to kind of feel feminine and really be feminine, is learn how to make bread. You know, I used to make braided bread growing up, and my family just loved it, and they called it blessing bread. And they'd all be like, Camille, oh my gosh, Camille's bread is done. And they'd run and they'd put butter on it, and it'd be hot, and it just would be devoured like that. And it just makes you feel happy, you know? And so yeah, definitely I would say get in the kitchen and definitely become a great, have your environment look beautiful. And let's see, number 4 is start wearing more dresses, feminine cuts, colors, and styles. So as you see, I have this little, well, actually I'll show it to you in a second, but this is a little, you know, it's like a very feminine thing. Anytime I wear this, I get compliments. And then I decided to put, a little, skirt over like my little jeans, and I got my little shoes, and that's my little outfit today. Oh, what is that? Okay. So I decided I wanted to feel feminine and look that way, and for myself, and now you. But it just makes you feel good. On Sundays, I've decided I want to start wearing dresses. No, I've already been wearing dresses for probably over a year, maybe since last summer. Something just clicked, and I said, I'm going to start wearing dresses to church. And I did, and my sisters, some of them started wearing dresses with me sometimes. And I just broke my streak for like a whole year or whatever, and I wore like some nice loose flowy pants to church that like kind of looked like a skirt. But I need to get more dresses and things for the winter, so that's one of my next things. But basically just feminine, people like loved my outfit on Sunday, and they're like, wow, don't you look good? You know, it's kind of like a mauve, like a light pink top and like a mauve, like higher waisted pants that, you know, and I made sure it wasn't showing lines, and, you know, you don't want to show bra lines, underwear lines. You don't want things to be so tight to your body. You just want to kind of look like soft and feminine and flowy and peaceful and happy and, you know, smile. And it's just, you just are noticed when you're feminine. And I was watching this girl, and she said, she's a big femininity girl. She's not a Christian, but she said, a feminine woman, I watched this like a little webinar thing that she had on Instagram. She said, a feminine woman will always be admired and will always stand out. And I just was like, that is so true. Like, you look at any like president's wife or any woman who really just has it together. She just wears the right thing. She just looks the right way. She's got her hair done. She knows how to just do the right amount of makeup, not too much, not cakey. And I mean, if you're on TV, you kind of have to do more makeup, but it comes across more natural on film anyhow. But, you know, just not so much trying. You just look like that is who you are. When a woman really achieves like feminine excellence, everyone notices, you know? And when someone doesn't, like, especially like a high level, like, and you're like, oh, how did they not figure it out, you know? But as just commoners, as we are, as just no one of specific importance, we can still carry that professionality and that femininity into our lives as well. And you will notice a difference, and you'll be respected. And I would say, I should put this on the list, but I would say modesty is also an important part of femininity that sometimes gets overlooked. And sometimes when someone is really into femininity, but they are also immodest, it sends this kind of weird mixture message. It's like, wait, because you kind of think of femininity in the thought of wholesome, you know? And so when they kind of break that line, it's kind of like, huh. It's like, I don't look up to that, you know? I look up to a woman who really knows how to just show her personality, but also look really good, but isn't trying to look too sexy and trying to bring too much attention to herself. So anytime I have a picture or something, if I feel like it's too just like about me, just so like if something is just too a little bit sexy edge, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to post that. That's sad because I like this outfit, or I like the picture, or I like something, you know what I mean, about it. So, but I want to be a wholesome role model, and I don't want to always be drawing attention to curves or whatever, you know. So anyways, modesty. Also, they say you'll like pretty much never see like a politician like in a bathing suit or something like that. So even like putting bathing suit pictures online, not classy, you know, and generally immodest. I'm a modest bathing suit person. I like to wear one piece and I wear shorts or a skirt. I'd love to make a modest bathing suit line one day. But anyhow, so modesty and just feminine clothing, very important, especially as Christian women who we don't just represent ourselves, we represent the Lord, and we represent our family, represent the family we came from. And so, you know, and you just bring people joy and happiness when you really look like a woman, and you know how to carry yourself. So the next one is 5, which is I've kind of said this a little bit, but decide to be softer. Instead of like a boss babe and like competing with men all the time, and like just because you can doesn't mean you always should. And that is part of feminine restraint, I would say, is sometimes we hold back because even though you have all this abilities, you don't always want to, I don't know, I hate to say show it, but like you just kind of, you want to be softer. You know, men will often say their wife is just so soft, you know, and that's soft as in that she's not so just muscular. Like sometimes women become really muscular. That's another side, like that's a more masculine thing when you just become so chiseled and so muscular. I mean, it can be cool and whatever. Maybe that's your sport or your, maybe you're competing or something. But in general, men like women to be soft, and they don't want them to be so like that. I mean, there are exceptions. It's always about, I don't know, there's exceptions to every rule. But as a woman, we want to talk softer, we want to be softer, we want to look softer, we want our, you know, just not, it's like even our faces, we don't have such chiseled jawlines, or we're a little bit softer, and that's something that is attractive to men, but also just it's an attractive way to be, just a gentle answer. And the Bible talks about this as well, but I should have memorized the scripture or put it down here, but that's just a point. Number 6 is include marriage, motherhood, and becoming a homemaker in your goals. It's not like those can be your only goals. You know, a lot of women, they start businesses and they do things in their lives and they achieve great things, or they do sports, or they can climb mountains or whatever. But don't forget that God made you to be a mother, and he made you to be a wife, and he made you to have a family. Some women will never get married, and some women aren't able to have children, and maybe they'll adopt or maybe they won't. Doesn't mean that you can't be feminine if you don't have children or if you never get married. But for most women, they will. And so don't forget that is, like, women will often say, I'm going to go to college before I get married. And then this is something the book says, which probably some people don't appreciate, but I think it's so smart, and it happened to my mom as well, which is they'll say, I'm not going to get married until I go to college. Then they get married, they don't use their degree, they end up having children, having a family, and then they feel bad all the time that, well, I didn't use my degree. It's like, well, you did the most important thing that there ever could be ever, which is starting a family and nurturing that family, creating the next leaders of society, the next husbands and wives of society that will stay faithful to their spouses, and actually, you know, if you raise them right and they responded to your raising, that, you know, take care of their families and create the solutions of the future. Like, that is so important. Every family needs a mother, and every kid needs a very attentive mother who cares for them. And you'll see so many people, they always go back to their mother and say, my mother was there for me, and she, you know what I mean? So amazing. A woman is so important in her family. So definitely make those your goals. And 7, read books on marriage, family, and how the mind of men works, femininity, gender differences, how to play into your femininity, how to think more feminine, how to act more feminine, dress more feminine. I'm like always learning, like, how can I go to the next level in my life? How can I improve my style? How can I maybe improve how I do my hair? Or how can I improve, just continue to search out, like, I'm going to read this book, Fascinating Womanhood, again, you know, because there's things in there I'm sure I have not completely grasped or done, but it's gotten me on the right track, which I'm thankful for. And so just continue to study. And a lot of marriages, I went through a lot of marriage help on YouTube and read books, and then you start to see when marriages fall apart, you said, oh, there's these certain principles that are across the board, and when you violate them, like, it doesn't work. And so even if you're not married, you can be looking forward and you can start to notice these trends and then say, okay, I'm going to do everything I can to not have that happen in my life. I want to have a successful marriage. And they say, you know, if you can make your first marriage work, it's like you'll be like so much happier percentage than if you get divorced and get married again. It's like, and a lot of times marriages, second marriages, third marriages don't last anyhow. So like they say, you have the most percentage of happiness with your first spouse. So do everything you can to make that first marriage work. Now, it's not always possible, but as long as women have so much more power than they realize in their femininity, in their God-given womanhood, than they could ever imagine. So many marriages should be together still, but the woman wasn't well equipped to understand her husband and understand, you know, the importance of her role as a woman in society. And the Bible says that a wise woman builds her house, but with her own hands a foolish one tears it down. And so that's so much happened. This book says don't nag, don't complain, and don't I forget the other one. Oh, nag, complain, and I don't know what it was, but very good. And so get into that, and it'll show you how to not do those things and what a better alternative is. The light is going down, as you can see, has gone down, basically. And then, number 8 is follow homemakers who online. And some of my favorite ones are Mrs. Midwest, Dear Sister, and Feminine Not Feminist on Instagram. So I will put those in the comments. And so you basically end up starting to act somewhat or having ideals of like the people you follow. And so when I started following these girls, it's like you have this little community and you don't feel so alone in your quest towards more femininity and more traditional values and more of a traditional life, because you're like, oh, this is not weird. This is just not mainstream at the moment, but it's coming back. I'm telling you, femininity, it's really always in style, but it's coming back even more. Number 9, commit to sexual purity and not letting a guy get the milk before he's bought the cow. Not that you are a cow, but you get the idea. And really you are, and it kind of ties in with number 10, which is deepen your relationship with God. You are first the bride of Christ. And so sexual purity is just so important for a woman, and there's so much brokenness that comes when you let your guard down, and maybe you didn't even know that like sex before marriage or outside of marriage was wrong, you know, or any kind of sexual sin. You might not have known that was wrong, that was causing harm in your life and your emotions. And you gotta go to the Lord and ask him to heal you of brokenness and say, I am, whatever has happened in the past to me, or because, you know, I needed love or whatever, or I thought maybe this guy would marry me, or I lived with him before I married, then he wouldn't marry me, whatever. Just decide from today on, I am going to be a chaste and a pure and a holy woman, and I'm going to just continue to ask the Lord, help me raise my standards, because we've all lowered our standards in different areas at times. Not all, hopefully you haven't, but just decide, I don't care what has been in the past. I'm going to choose today on, I'm going to raise my standards to whatever God wants for my life. Because like the last one, first of all, we are his bride, you know, we belong to him. And that is the first relationship we have. And so as we become close to the Lord, we can have that joy that comes from him, and that peace that only comes from him, and then we can give that peace and that joy to other people. But if we're dealing with sin, if we're dealing with just the separation from God, and all the things that that brings in our life, the death that it brings in different parts of our life, whether it's broken relationships, or it's just, I don't know, people, it's so many breakdowns, depression, suicide, self-harm, just continuing in these negative patterns of rejection and rejecting and just unhealth. There are, just name anything that everyone's going to counseling for. And you can see a lot of it comes down from not having our identity in the Lord, not having that close relationship, not being, having His word come into us, which we learn the truth about life. We learn the truth of how things should be, what sin is, what righteousness is, that we are forgiven for the past. We don't have to pay for our sins forever. We ask the Lord to come save us and heal us and love us. And then we live for Him. And then we do things as unto Him, not because like, oh, well, it's not hurting anybody, so I'll do that. You think it's not hurting anybody, it's hurting yourself. Sin is hurting yourself, but it also hurts other people. And sin separates us from God. And so, but we repent, we say, Lord, I'm sorry, I don't want to be that person anymore. Make me clean, wash me. Thank you for your blood that washes me. We get into that alignment with the Lord again, and we get back into that relationship with Him. And then things just start getting better again. And so definitely, those are my 10 points for how to cultivate your femininity. I hope you will buy this book, Fascinating Womanhood. I will put some of this on my blog, Camille'sJournal.com, and I may merge some of that to CamilleToday.com. So thank you guys for being here. I didn't know how long this video would go, but if you guys would like to follow me on Instagram, I'm Camille Harris. If you'd like to become part of my exclusive Patreon community, monthly support, that is Camille Harris on Patreon. Below, I have a private Facebook group for them. God bless you, and I will see you soon for who knows what next video. God bless. Bye-bye.